with my lovely morning coffee this early Sunday morning. So
it's really not that early. It's 9:15.
It's early for Sunday. We're gonna cover everything, okay? There's gonna be 3 things I'm gonna cover. I'm gonna cover the in the moment part. That should be the least of your concerns. That's not the proper question to be successful. If you're waiting for shit to happen to deal with it, you already got the wrong state of mind, right? You already got the wrong approach, but we'll deal with that too. So first of all, how to be proactive. You have a multi-dog house and you have resources out. You need to be very much aware this could happen. It's a very common issue. You're gonna wanna be present and watching to make sure that if a dog's sitting here playing with a toy or has a resource, the other dog doesn't just come up on the dog with the resource. So in my opinion, the dog who came up on the dog with the resource was the one who started this confrontation. So you should have been there. Well, any owner, it would be good if they were there to say, hey, get away from him. That's being proactive. If this dog's trying to enjoy his toy by himself and he's just chewing on it, put them on place. Let him enjoy chewing on his toy while he's on place and the other dog's on place. This keeps structure so that incident doesn't happen. So these are the ways to be proactive. You can use training and obedience to keep things structured, and you can monitor. Listen, it's life, things happen. If the dog goes over there and your other dog snaps, what you're gonna wanna do, it depends on the severity really, okay? If the dog's coming up slow and the other dog's just kind of growling and giving a little like air snap, it's not the worst thing in the world, right? I would do, if it was my personal dog, I would give a verbal no, take the toy away, and then make a mental note to work on the situation in training. Dog's overreacting, getting up, like charging the other dog. At that point, I'm going to go into like self-preservation for my dogs. I don't want vet bills. I don't want anybody to get into a scuffle. So if dog who's coming to get the toys right here and this dog's right here, and I see the encounter happen, I'm going to probably grab something close and I'm gonna say no, and hopefully the bonker's around, and I'm gonna either bonk the dog, remote collar the dog, the aggressor that is, the dog who's defending the resource, because they're now overreacting and taking it to a whole new level. Bottom line, I'm gonna correct them very firmly with whatever way is available to me. On top of that, now I know that this is an issue inside my house. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be setting this situation up to teach my dogs what to do in the future. This is the part that's missed owners' houses, right? This is what they send the dogs to the trainer for, but you don't have to send the dog to a trainer to do this. It's really easy. So it's I guess it falls under the category of behavior modification. So what I would do is I would say, okay, this dog likes to guard resources. This dog likes to come up on dogs with resources. Both no-nos. I need to teach them both not to do these things. So I would be safe. I'd put an e-collar on the dog who's guarding the toy. I'd have them on a tie back, a heavy piece of furniture or a doorknob, so I knew how far they could go. I'd let them get into their toy, and then I'd walk the other dog up, put some pressure on that dog. As soon as that dog makes the bad choice, no, very firm e-collar correction. And then I'm gonna repeat that, which usually it takes one time. The dog gets it, okay? For the other dog, I'm going to set it up like so. The dogs, I'm gonna have, this might be the next day or a couple days down the road. I'll have the dog playing with the toy, the dog who likes to guard resources, and I will watch and let the other dog make a choice. As soon as this dog tries to approach the dog with the toy, he or she is going to get a very firm correction. So now I created a buffer for both dogs. They're both gonna at least hesitate. Not only hesitate, maybe I've actually was successful enough to inhibit completely, but at the very least I have a buffer, so I can see the dog. What we often see is the dog who usually resource guards the toy, in the future, they'll just walk away, right? But I've also went one step further, so I tell the dog not to come up on that other dog to begin with. That being said, monitor your dogs when toys are out and don't just leave them around the house. If you have 2 free roaming dogs and resources all over the place, there will be a fight eventually. So that, in my book, is common sense. That was a very long answer, but you know, I want to make sure you got a well-rounded one. But when shit hits the fan, if it's my personal dogs, I take it very personally. I say not in my house, and I say that very clearly and very firmly. So my personal dogs, whenever I have personal dogs, they know, like, that's off the table. You're not to fight with each other at all. So I do what I have to do to let them know that in the moment. Repeat, you should be offering toys when it's time to play, monitoring it, you know, being around to correct the dogs if needed, and then taking the toys away, right? If you get free roaming dogs and resources everywhere,
there's going to be problems.
There's going to be a problem. You are relevant enough to your dog. This for me is huge, because this is what I rely on as a dog owner. I 100% rely on the way my dogs view me. So when I say the word no, my dogs, if I say it in the right tone, I can literally get them to shit their pants. Like, oh crap, what did I do wrong? It's very powerful, and they take me very, very seriously. That, if you don't have that, if you haven't cultivated that level of respect, you're gonna have a lot of issues dealing with this stuff. You have a lot of issues, because who are you? They don't care. They don't care to listen to you. If I step into the room, my dog's behaviors change. I'm now the state trooper behind you on the highway. They're checking their mirror, and they're checking their seatbelt, and they're making sure they're going 5 below the speed limit. So if you don't have that influence on your dog, that is a problem. That being said, if my dog starts to make a bad choice, because I have such an impact on them socially, when I say the word no, everybody stops what they're doing. And that's because if they don't, I'm not gonna hesitate to give a punisher, a physical punisher. So that's the key. That's the key, is having your leadership and having your presence be so respected. This stuff just doesn't even happen. And if it starts, you say no, it's done. And that's a consequence of enough for me usually with my personal dogs, because they associate that with, like, heavier consequences will come if you don't knock your stuff off. So that's pretty much how I get by with my dogs a lot of the times. When I have to correct, it's usually very firm, and it's few and far between.
Yeah.
Most of the time I can say no, give a little bit of social pressure, and everything's over. So, and I recommend everybody get in there with their dogs. So.